on ducks. I just had the best, experience, because when I was 6 or 7 years old, I used to see those little ducks, and I just wanted one of them. I said to my mother, please just let me take one home. I still couldn't take one home, and they won't tell me their name, but somebody said, why did they move so quickly out of the elevator when you were behind them? And I said, I gave them a goose.
Well, obviously, this is Mr. George Hamilton. I want to make sure we get the TV stations to get all this. First of all, we'd like to recognize our good friend Lynn Sittler, who has guided the film and tape commission for a few decades, but she's still young and perky and full of spunk, and we're very excited about all that the film commission has done. And Lynn would like to say a few words. So, Lynn.
Well, I just really quite don't know what to say, because he's been one of my heroes since, gosh, I guess the early 60s, when you were starring in Light of the Piazza as the romantic lead, and that is truly, any of you who have not seen that, see it. It's one of the best made films of all time. And he played a very romantic Italian would-be lover to a very, very glamorous blonde Yvette Denou. And that was very good training for him to later become the boyfriend of our very own Sally Shy. Yes, you might have been discreet, but Sally wasn't. I better sit down, but our Mayor Wharton is going to be talking all about the Memphis connections, and we are so proud to have you as we continue to be known around the world as a city that is famous and well loved for its movies, its music, its celebrities. You are one of the top people that we claim. Thank you.
Christopher Blank was right. This has continued to be a bawdy experience. But anyway, now I would like to introduce, when you talk about a city father, we finally have one or maybe two, but one with us today, and someone who has guided our city just so phenomenally well in the past few years, brought the city together, given it a new spirit, and a very dear friend of mine, and a dear friend of the Orpheum, and a dear friend of all of ours I know. I'd like to introduce His Honor, the Mayor of Memphis.
Thank you, Pat, and also we have the best film and tape commission anywhere. Lynn, Sharon, and Chair, thank you so much for getting us all together here. George, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Ordinarily, I don't read proclamations, but occasionally they really say something. We have one today that really means something, so I'm going to read it in just a second. But I think this is just another crowning event that lets the world know of the great talent that originates in this soulful place called Memphis, Tennessee. Here's a man who was born here, didn't stay here that long, went over to Bible. Hey, he's still in Memphis. You just can't get it out of him. Maybe I can just get in the same name. You're still Memphis, and you'll never be able to duck that. So, if you look at over the past 2 years, all the award-winning plays, it just does me so much good to get to New York and you see the taxis up and Pat and I were there at the opening of Memphis there. And then just a few blocks over, of course, we had the $1 Million Quartet, and then we had Mountain. All of that, all this comes right out of Memphis. And then, of course, the legend here. Not only Memphis, but he served us so well. I was raised over in the hill country, George, Lebanon, Tennessee, and Hank Williams territory.
Well, my son went to school at Castle Heights in
You can't talk out loud, you know what it means.
We worked that out.
Y'all look up Castle Heights. Great.
They're probably.
But Hank Williams, again, who expressed just the soul of our great state, no less. And then your cheating heart to your parents is just so great. You make us proud all across the state. But right now, it's all about Memphis. Sharon McGuinn, if you'd come up, I'm actually going to read this. George, I didn't get to attend Castle Heights. I think they said I wasn't tall enough or something. Did your son look like me?
He didn't dress as well.
So I might not read as well as these city folks do, but I'll do my best. This comes from the city of Memphis. Whereas George Hamilton was born in Memphis, Tennessee, the son of Spike Hamilton, a famed Peabody Hotel band leader, and subsequently spent his childhood in Blytheville, Arkansas. And whereas George went on to dazzle audiences around the world for years as a star of television, film, and stage, most notably in productions such as A Time for Killing, Your Cheating Heart, Evel Knievel, which we misspelled just to put a little carol.
It was a bad film.
And Love at First Bite. And whereas George's step away from you on that bike, whereas George's singular style and unique brand of humor have won him a new generation of fans, particularly through his skincare system, tanning salon, cigar lounge, game show hosting, and celebrity roasting endeavors. And whereas we could not be more proud to welcome George's return to Memphis as the lead in the national tour of the Tony Award-winning revival of...
Which one is that? We have many pronunciations. La Cage aux Folles.
I think
It's La Cage aux Folles. And it's easier to say to people, remember Birdcage?
And the world-famous Orpheum Theater. Now, therefore, I, A.C. Wharton, Jr., Mayor of the great city of Memphis, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim Thursday, March 22nd, 2012, as a day to honor the life and accomplishments of George Hamilton in the city of Memphis, and encourage the citizens to show our appreciation accordingly. Thank you, and
I don't have any prepared speeches. These all working? When Mr. Mayor came into my tanning salon originally, he told me that if he got a really good tan, it would be good for his career. Well, it worked. It's always amazing to me how people get the facts, but I don't know where to get them from. I never owned a tanning salon. I had a tanning bed, and one time I got caught in it, and I'd be at the rendezvous being served. I got rather crisp that day. I spent most of my life as a child in a small town, and I understood the values of going downtown and not having to carry any money in your pocket, knowing that your grandfather was the town doctor. He'd been paid in pigs and cows and chickens. and that he came to your house in the middle of the night, and he used to make me go with him, and he'd say, now, what's wrong with this person? And I'd say, I don't know. And he'd say, well, check to see their circulation, and look at their tongue, look at their eyes, look at the thyroid man. And I studied all those things. I thought, you know, these doctors just had this sixth sense about it. Well, they didn't have the modern day way of doing things. And as we'd go away, I'd say to him, well, so what is wrong with him? He said, don't you know? I said, no. He said, it's his wife. The reason for that was because they did understand the atmosphere in which a person lived. And now we have it all compartmentalized. I have a guy who looks at my finger, and one looks at my eye. They don't seem to connect it all together. And also, what your lifestyle is about. When you're brought up in the South, and you were brought up in the South of the days that preceded civil rights change and reform, and you understand what the gravity of our world has completely gone in a total direction. We're doing a play called La Cage aux Folles, and for racism, La Cage aux Folles was to gays. It was a very hurtful and very deeply devastating for people who, including my older brother, Bill, who I grew up with. Bill was gay and taught me a lot about love, taught me a lot about, he had an incredible eye. His ability to know the difference was enormous. And he was a very materialistic person. He cared about what he wore and what he had. And the last thing he asked me to do was to take him out in his Rolls Royce, and I carried him down the stairs on my back. And we drove around town and saw everything, and then I took him back. And that night before he died, we were talking. I said, what would you do differently if you had it all to do again? I thought he was going to say, buy more Tiffany or buy something. Because he was all about, you know, the material. And he said, I'd love more. And I thought, that's a strange thing. But it wasn't strange, because it taught me that that's really what it all is about. Our play, that's all it's about. It's not about the problems of, yes, we're going to look at this play. It's not an edgy play anymore. It's about a time which was edgy, just as it was in civil rights. America has a tendency to bite off a lot of things and change legislation, but it takes sometimes 100 years to digest it, to really digest it. It takes a different generation. And that we're doing it, and that we're all able to survive and live together. America, I am not a political person, but in my humble opinion, we need to turn our attention not to other countries, but to our own, clean up our own, because we are a great country, and we can't become a second-rate country. We are, and I have been so lucky to be in movies at a time when we were known as the best. And when you went abroad, people looked at an American, and in Italy they would say things like, it's as good as an American car. It changed. And now that we have this crisis period in our world, we have an ability to change all of this. And I think our hearts know that. We've got to get our heads back together. We've got to stop the corruption in the world, and we've got to love more. And I hope our little play, which Mr. Sieber back there is my cohort in this, and a wonderful actor. I learned a lot from him. We do it every night, and we're so thrilled that people are accepting and they love it. And Mayor, it's such a wonderful thing that you are our mayor. And I say our because I am Memphis, and I think of it always as my home and my heart. And thank you for having this incredible theater where you allowed us to come. And I also want to thank all 5 of those ducks today. As a little boy, all I wanted is just one of those little ducks. And today, I think I had all 5. Thank you all so much for that.
Celebrating its 85th birthday anniversary, and symbolic of all those years, and in fact the theater that preceded the Orpheum, which was also called the Orpheum at one time, that burned down. There had been a fabulous array of the best entertainers in the world, going back to Harry Houdini and all of the people from the vaudeville days, Burns and Allen and the Mills Brothers, and so many others. And recently we've been adding some of the more phenomenal stars that have graced the stage. And out there near where your star is, you've got Cary Grant and Gregory Peck and Yul Brynner and so many others. So we're going to give you this. You'll have to lug this around for the next 20 weeks of your tour. But it says the Orpheum Theater, Memphis, Tennessee. Sidewalk of Stars, George Hamilton, La Caja Fall, March 20 through 25, 2012. This is indicative of the star that you will see out there and people will see forever. Thank you, sir. Is on a very tight schedule. The ducks are following him. And he does have a few minutes to take about 3 or 4 questions. So if you have some, we'd be happy to direct them to Mr. Hamilton at this time. Any questions? All right. Well, we've covered everything. Anything at all? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here for this occasion.